Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Just making sure nobody's in here. I just started videotaping before anybody came in here. This is an old building. Here's an old decommissioned retro style of gas control system. Carbon monoxide. Lots of decommission controls in here. Actually behind glass. Some more decommission controls over here. Still has power, but these old boards. I thought I'd just make a video about what it's been like to come up here during COVID. Something that was on the top of on my mind. So this room that I'm in actually right now is like a kind of like an abandoned building that's semi-functioning, and when I have free time to sneak away, this is kind of where I've been using to perform banishing rituals and stuff for myself. I think it's tricky to make videos up here. It's tricky to make diary logs up here. I was trying to make one yesterday or the day before, and my roommate came in on me while I had a tarot spread sitting there videotaping me. It was kind of awkward, so I never did post that. I cut it off before I could finish it. I remember I was living on the coast on an island with my wife and my kids when I saw the first news reports that COVID in China was spreading, and I knew it was going to be fucked right away. Especially the way they were talking on the news. I'm like, oh, we're in for it. And right away, everything started hammering down. I've been flying up here for about a year and a half before that, and it was the airports were bustling, you know. And then after the first restrictions started happening, probably I guess February or March 2020. Nobody knew what COVID was. For all we knew, it was like an airborne Ebola, right? So everyone was legitimately scared, and rightfully so. I remember there was one point there I flew into a city, and when I got out at the airport and came out, I was literally the only person in the entire airport terminal. And they had all sorts of construction barricades up so you couldn't walk to parts of it, and I felt like I was living in like some sort of post-apocalyptic zombie movie. It was pretty intense. Flying up here, then the flights got really thin, the planes were empty for a while, and in the middle of it, the island we were living on, one of the towns on the island ran out of food very early, and we decided like we need to move closer to where I'm working. We need to get back to a bigger city. We need to get on the mainland. So my brave wife and myself got our house all prepped, and at the time we didn't know if houses were going to sell, if everything with the markets were all going to crash, but we had no idea the housing market was going to boom. So we sold the house the day we listed it. I was shocked. I didn't know who would want. People were thinking they wanted to move to the island. Anyway, so we moved about 1,200 kilometers right in the very early stages of the pandemic. We moved the 3 kids and bought a new house, and she quit her job, and west coast to the middle of the country was we got a much larger house for the same amount of money. So my wife was able to, because we knew lockdowns were happening, restrictions, so she was able to lock down with the kids in the house a lot better and have more space. Coming up here, things got crazy with masks right out of the gate. Someone had when the mask restrictions first started, there was a fella who wasn't wearing his mask properly at the bus stop, and they saw him and they just fired him. Fired him because he had his nose sticking out of his mask. That's how serious it was in the beginning. So that made it really unpleasant. And then shortly after COVID started happening, the oil crashed. And man, they started laying guys off. And it was extremely stressful. Because if you got laid off, what were you going to do? You know, everything was locking down and they're laying guys off. It was very stressful. And I know everyone who's lived through it has their own stories about how stressful it's been. This is just mine. But I managed to keep my job this whole time, flying up here. And then at some points, they started coming up with just the most obtuse fucking ideas of how to do things. Like, so many people in this room, and this direction only, and that direction only. And this place is one of the most hazardous places in the world to work. And it's like all of the safety and everything just totally forgot about that, or just doesn't care anymore, and they just went full gear COVID. It's all anybody cares about is COVID restrictions and COVID rules and COVID policing. And you can have a mask on, or you need to have a mask on indoors, this distance of people, that distance of people can remove for this period of time. Oh, and then they started this contact tracing fucking initiative where if you ended up testing positive for COVID, you had to go through like the last 72 hours in fucking 10-minute increments of your 12-hour days and start marking down who came within 6 feet of you for how long, and then collectively accumulating if the person throughout the day was within 6 feet of you for a duration of longer than 15 minutes, and then they become a close friend. It's like, Jesus fucking, good Lord, this is ridiculous. Like, and it's just all arbitrary and obtuse, right? I get they're trying to minimize spread and contain it and all that stuff, but it was just getting foolish. It was becoming foolish. And then the bus stop, you had to start signing in when you got onto the bus, sit in the correct seat. They're staggering the seats all the way up, and then once you filled all the way up staggered, then you went all the way to the back and started filling in the spaces, trying to maintain fucking distancing on the bus. But then if one person on the bus was a close contact, the whole bus got flagged. So what the fuck was the point of all the seat staggering? It's ridiculous. And all these tongue-chewing fools here getting onto that bus, see if people can figure out if they can sit in the right seat or not, right? Good Lord. So yeah, the whole time flying up here, and then they started doing rapid testing on site. Luckily for us, it's been voluntary, so I've never voluntarily once taken a fucking COVID test. To be completely honest, it is at the time almost August 2021. I've gone this entire time without taking a single COVID test. And right in the very beginning, when COVID started spreading, I don't know for certain, but I'm fairly certain that I had it right away. February 2020, I was sick as a dog, man. Fucking 2 weeks. Chills, couldn't eat. I just drank water, stayed hydrated, electrolytes, fucking bedbound for about 4 days. And then I started coughing, and I was coughing to the point where my lungs would hurt so bad that when I felt the cough coming, I would curl up into a ball and get down on the floor, because when I coughed, it felt like someone was rolling a red hot iron across my lungs inside my chest. So I mean, that sounds pretty COVID-y to me. I don't know that it was for sure, but it sounds legit on paper anyway. And then I had a hard time breathing for about 6 or 8 months after that, but everything's cleared up now. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, just wanted to kind of take a little bit of a memoir style monologue about that, maybe show off a little bit of my workspace and kind of recap what it's been like coming up here with COVID, and show where I have been doing ritual space. It's kind of gross. I actually this dust, you can draw on the floor with it. So I usually draw a big circle here and do some vanishing, and that's actually what I'm gonna do right now. Love is the law. Love under Wilt.